Alright, the cowl. Everyone's had a good crack at replacing the cowl. I want to try and take this one off because it's original. Has rust hole there, some creative welding there, rust hole there, rust hole in the back, a couple of little spots here that I can weld up, but nothing else across it, and it's got the similar sort of thing on the other side, so I can see through two panels down here. Actually, I can see through one. There's no hole underneath that one, but when I get underneath, right under the bottom under here, I'll show you where I'm talking about in a sec when I get this light sitting here. When I get down right underneath there, up above this hole here where the linkage comes out and goes across the firewall for the throttle, up under there, right about here, there's this massive hole in behind it. So I want to get this cowl off, get in behind there. You can see here where I've done some spot weld drilling. It's 3 layers thick, so here's the firewall. Then that bit there you can see, you get something to point to it. This bit here is the firewall. That bit there, that second lip there is the inner cowl, and this is the top. So I'm hoping to split this off. Actually, I've missed one there. I've got to drill that one too. Got to remember to get that one. You can see I started drilling this here where I can reach. I'm going to turn it up on its side, drill across there. I've drilled these ones on top of the dash here. I'm going to split that dash off in a sec. That top bit there, hopefully will come off. I have to cut this weld across the top here. It goes through here, across the top, down here and out to this corner. So I'm going to get rid of all this gunk out of here. I'm going to cut that off with a little cutting disc. There's some lead wiped into there too. Do the same on the other side. Hopefully pop this whole cowl off. I'm pretty sure there's some other spot weld somewhere else. I'm not sure if it's up under here. I'll have to find it, but actually that's on the bottom cowl. So I'm hoping to expose the lower cowl so I can patch weld some of the holes. I'll show you once I get that all out. Drill these holes. I missed one down here. Somewhere was it? There it was there. Spot weld. Okay, popped them already. Popped them up to there, so I'll drill them out. Sometimes you can see a little puff of rust fly up when you get through one of the layers. Sometimes you don't. And ground back because that spot weld didn't break there, so I've got to get my little saw now, cut that across the top, cut it through here, cut the bottom and the back there, and see, because all that cow's loose at the front there now. smaller light, but this one puts off a good light. I'm just drilling the ones out along the window edge here. Hard to see these ones, they're actually quite neatly spot welded, so I'm hoping I got the right spots. You can kind of tell this one down here, you can see I missed it, and the little puck just came out, it's not welded to anything, so I've got to find the other one down there. Come on, you bloody. I missed that one too. This crowbar thing hooking under the dash, hit it from the back. Hopefully it pops it out. It's only just hanging on. There we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Alright, there you can go, you can see where all those little spot welds are still on there. No rust or damage down around that drain hole there, but up here quite significant. This piece here looks pretty shot to shit. When I cut that off there I might have to replace this piece. Got a hole in there, got a rust hole in here. And that's what happens if you take things off. You don't take things off, you don't know what to find. So you can see there, I'll grab the light. Oh, it's quite dark in here at night. You can see there, someone's done some creative welding in there before. Hole in the bottom there, which is, oh, actually that's the opposite side. So this is the side over there where we're just looking at. So not quite a hole through the panel where it was starting to rust. But you can see here how bad that corner was, and you can see, like just down there, you can see a couple of little pinholes starting to come through where the sandblaster must have hit it. You can see a couple just down here. I don't know if you notice, just there you can see a couple of little lumps. See if I can point them out to you. A couple of little lumps just there. That's pitting on the other side, but the media blaster must have punched a little tiny pinhole there, and then that one there is just like almost through. Oh, this bit looks okay. Oh, this looks okay here. That's the bit there I was trying to punch off, the last bit there. That's that spot weld that I missed. The rest of this looks pretty good, just those couple of holes along there which I showed you from the back side before. I'll be able to fix that up with a nice little patch, sandblast all this corner here, hopefully it's still okay, and I'll be able to reattach this pretty easily. Let's take a look on this side over here. Let's rock this back this way a bit. Alright, so here's what it looks like around the drain hole. It looks pretty good around that drain hole there. But you can see how rusty this whole bit was up here. Rust starting the bottom right there. This whole top corner here, it's not actually that bad. If I can sandblast it back and keep it in some sort of shape and it's still a good nick. It's got some surface rust on it, there's decent rust on it, but this bit here is definitely going to need to be replaced. I'll have to do some panel beating on this section along here. But you can see, where can I show you? You can see that rust hole there, like this thing must have been full up to here with dirt to get that rust hole on the side there, so it's going to take a bit of creative panel beating. I might actually just clean that bit of shit off. Put a piece of plate in here, the bit bigger than it needs to be, heat it up red hot, give it a bit of a knock with a hammer, get that shape into it. And then I'll be able to, you can see it starts probably there and it goes to about there, so I'll probably get to cut a bigger piece out down here, go around that drain hole. And then some small bits up here too. I'll have to clean this up. Cut this piece out, put a new bit in there. This top bit here, catastrophic, look. Put my fingers through it. So all this must have been caught up. Before they were media blasting, all this must have been caught up with debris and stuff. You can imagine these holes must have been blocked. Actually, I noticed the bottom bit of this pipe here from underneath is a bit rusted off. See the bottom of the pipe there? It's been sandblasted, there's no rust left on it, but and etch primed, or whatever you call it, epoxy coated. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to cut that off and weld a new one in there. I might just cut it off flush with the bottom sticker, something the same diameter as it, so it sticks up through the hole here, and just weld it in from the top maybe. But all in all, for a 50-plus-year-old car, not too bad. No way in the world is it worth pulling this whole lower cowl out. I noticed down here, I noticed when I looked through the top before, I could see that hole there. Someone's obviously screwed something up, maybe a wiring harness for a different stereo, screwed through the bottom of this lower cowl, which would have leaked water in there. So this is going to be my next job. I'll wire wheel all this up. I'll get my little hand sandblaster. I'll grind all this shit off. I'll get my little hand sandblaster and give this a bit of a hit, try and clean it up as best I can. And then we will rust treat it. Obviously, looks like there's a piece missing out of there too, unless that's how it's supposed to be. Rust treat it, epoxy coat it, get all the edges in weld-through primer, cut all these little nibs off. We'll go from there. But all in all, this cowl looks pretty good. I'll see it from the top. That's those little pinholes I said you can see there. There's the other little one you can see there, and there's a couple of other little ones beside it just starting to push through, so I'm probably going to cut that off. This is rusted from the top, not from the bottom. This is where the rubber strip goes across there. There's like a rubber seal here that seals your bonnet, back of your bonnet, to the edge of the cowl here. And it looks like it's had stuff underneath it and rusted through. That's where I marked it before. I was going to actually cut this whole piece off, but underneath it's really good, so I'm just going to replace that little section through there after I blast it and clean it. That's what she looks like without the cowl on the front. I know I said I was going to jump over to the other side, but I figured if I fix this stuff first, when I get to the other side, this A-pillar here, it has some rust in it around here somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but yeah, I don't know where. I'll show you, but it's got some corrosion starting on the side of it, so I'm going to have to cut a piece out the side here. Where did I see it? Oh, up here. So yeah, I'm going to have to cut this top section out, which is internal to the car, really. It's up in there. So yeah, once I do this, I'll have to cut that bit out too, get that done. Oh, we're really cracking along now. That's probably a month's worth of work, I reckon, so far. Getting that floor done, getting that sill, the inner sill support, and the brace in the back for the jack. Now we're getting this off. We'll get this prepped, and hopefully sometime over the next week, I'll get this all done and sorted. I'll get all these holes done and welded up, and we'll go from there. You can see how big that hole is now. It looks so bloody like the moon shining through. And look at this one. Not good. Okay, so I got some tape down here. I ground the pencil to quite a long tip. What I do is I run it along the edge, get your black mark on all the areas that you want it to cut. I'm going right to this edge, right across here, going in the back here, straight across here. You can see I've already sliced this with a Stanley knife in most areas, so I'm trying to make this patch before I take this out, because if I take this piece out to repair it and don't do anything, like I don't make the piece first, I could get the size and shape wrong. So trying to get this as good as I can while I can. I'm going to go to inside this edge here, because I need to add this little bit. This is all good and wrong here. I just need to add this last little bit down the end here, just the tip of it where it's disappeared here from rust, right down here. This last little bit. Get rid of all that. Go across here. Take that bit out with what I've got. Hopefully it all comes off relatively one piece. The old tape's not very good. It's the last roll of tape I had. I left it out in the rain the other day, so it's a little bit on the soft side, not very sticky. But there you can see that's the shape of it. So I'm going to now trace around it on a bit of plate. I'm going to give it like 5 or 10 mil longer on each side, so I'll get this bend done down the bottom here. So you can see here I'll put the mark where the bend line is with a pencil. That's that radius there. And this one here will be along here. The rest of it is relatively flat, so I'll cut that out of a bit of plate. I'll show you how it looks, and then we'll get on with the process. Right, there's the template. There's the rough cut piece of steel. So this is going to fit on here. I think I could actually trim this one and this one here neat, keep them on this side nice and neat, and then form all the rest of the side. So I might actually trim them off now. Alright, so there's the piece. There's the back edge along here. I'm going to try and cold form this to start with a couple of hammers and dollies. That's looking pretty good so far. Just seeing where I got some meat to put another tech screw, so I can cold form that edge over if I can. Back here somewhere. Where's the there it is. Alright, that's looking alright so far. Where are we at now? I'm going to try and get a tack screw in there. Grab a couple more of these just to hold it in shape for me. One there. Too. Alright, let's see if we can pick this top bit up and knock it down. Right, let's cut this piece out. I'll try and use this little bit of disc straight away to try and get some of these small cuts. If it makes it through, it makes it through. If it doesn't, I'll put a bigger one on. Time to tack weld into position. Let's see how we go here. Right, that's that repair done. That's the piece that come out of there. Just got to sandblast. All this was nice and neat underneath, so I left it. Just got to sandblast all this now. There's nothing deep about it, just a couple of pits in it, so I'm going to, it is quite thick metal. So I'm just going to blast it and clean it up and paint that section. You can see this piece of steel here. When they sandblasted the car, they actually sandblasted underneath this piece. But there it goes, it broke. But you can see how corroded it was. Not from underneath, but it was corroded from the top. Corroded from the top because of the cowl panel that was sitting on top of it. All right, that repair's done. This patch is welded in, ready to grind up. I'll get that ground up and primed. Then I'll start on the big hole down the back there. I didn't film this one, it was just a simple job. Simple bend the plate and prep it all, prime it, weld through prime it and weld it in. There you go, that's how that little patch came out. Nice and smooth in there, same sort of radius. That'll do for that job there. I'll get that primed up, and now I've got to take on those holes over there. Right, you can see what I've been doing down here. I have this plate clamped in position. I heated that bottom section up there, got the right shape and radius, left a bit of clearance. I'm probably going to clearance that a bit more around that hole so I can get a decent weld down there. Now I'm going to take it out of there now, take it over to my dolly set and smooth out that radius a bit more, then do a couple more trial fits. Then I'll probably cut it down, whatever height I got to cut it down at the top here, clamp it back in position, scribe it, cut the piece out tack that one in position and then start welding. Right, I've got that dolly, had my dolly set in here. Got to try and smooth out these radiuses now, so I'm just going to get it on here. Death by 1,000 blows. What I'm trying to get out is all these hammer blow marks that I formed it with when I was over there on the car. Right there you can see the piece that's made. Ready, probably goes about there somewhere. Got my gap around that drain hole to be able to weld around it. Now I'm going to give this a quick spray with primer so I can scratch this line on the shape of this. I'll clean this up. You can see it's got lots of little shiny marks on it, but no major dents in it. And they're just all the hit marks from the dolly. So dress it up, put it back in there, scribe my lines, and we'll get ready cutting the piece out. Right, there's the piece. That's where it fits in there. Like I said, I've gone higher because if rust is there, it'll be partially the way behind it, but I think most of it is rusted from the inside here by the radius on the corrosion that I can see here. But it starts there, there, and there. So I'm taking it well past those points, replacing that whole section, and then time to cut. All right. Alright, if you have a look down here, I had to cut that spout out as well because if you remember, the bottom of it was rusted off, so I welded a new bottom on it, like a new pipe. I just got a bit of plate, rolled it around my die over there, bent it into rolled it into shape. Now I've got to grind up all the welds. Then I'm going to weld that back in a position down there, then put that patch piece in. So I'll just dress this up and then we'll clamp that and get it welded. Righto, so there's the new tube welded onto that piece. So now I'm going to get this, put it back into that spot down there, get my 1mm clearance, whatever it was from that grinding disc, and weld that back into that spot like that. Then I'll put my patch piece in. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Okay, weld-through primer is on. I'm going to get this piece and try and hold it in place under here just to tack it. Alright, that's ready to weld now. I will spot weld that back in, dress it up, and then we'll get the next piece in. Alright, that's that piece tack welded in there. What we'll do now is dress that up, because it's going to be pretty hard to dress it up when it's all done. So I'll clean those welds up, make sure there's no holes around it. I have my new spout intact, which is good. I will stop the video because you're just going to see sparks and crap flying everywhere, but I'm going to dress up that around that little hole there now. I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, that piece is welded in, dressed up around the edge of it. I haven't taken it down too far. I don't want to make any holes around the side of it, but it's sealed off. When I'm done with all this panel down here, anywhere in a low spot, I know my welds will be good, but anywhere in a low spot I'll put some seam seal around them as well, just to make sure that it's sealed down in through the hole as well. Here's my patch piece. It's got weld through primer on one side, it's just steel on the other. That's going to go in here. I've just got to get it in the bottom first and then trim the top to suit the size, because it's hard to trim the bottom. So I'm going to try and get the bottom in as close as I can to start with, and then work my way around. Alright, we'll get prepped and we'll get started. Okay, so I've got the patch piece sitting in the hole. Got a couple of magnets behind it, just sort of keeping it up. I'm going to get a couple of tack welds on this bit here where it's flush. Then I'll knock the other side down over here at the bottom, get that flush. I need to keep the top out. I don't want it to slide in. It's hard to get back out. I have to pry it out if I get the top in. So I'm going to try and get this bottom all welded in, and then I'm going to try and keep the top out and just trim the last little. There's a bit of trimming to do there. Most of it fits pretty well, so I'm going to try and get that in that position that it's in right now. Where's my welding screen? There we go. Welding shield. Alright, watch your eyes. That's a shit weld. That's better. Alright, so it's pretty flush all the way along. I might just keep welding along here. That's that bottom bit welded. So these are the magnets I got under there. You can tell they're just cheapos, but they work, do the job. Now I'm going to try and get this side down a little bit with the dolly without doing too much damage again. Right, that end's pretty good. I'll get a tack on that over there. Magnet fell off, so I'll try and knock this down a bit to where it's got to go. Right, there you go, you can see the patch welded in. Now I've just got to go back and dress it up and grind it from the front and the back. Spray some black enamel. I sprayed some black enamel directly behind it. I had all the weld-through primer around the edge in the back of it, then I sprayed some black enamel through the middle. Now I'll get the black right up under this back lip here. It would have burnt out if I did it before. And that's this whole bit finished. I'm just going to take a go at welding that little pinhole up there now. And then I'll leave this grinding for tomorrow, because it's getting on. It's like 11:30 at night, so I don't want to piss off the neighbours. Right, just there you can see I welded that little pinhole up. It's actually quite thick around there, but let's put this bit of copper behind it. Made sure it's right hard up against it, and then I just tack welded it and that's hot. Tack welded it and filled it up. Now I'll just grind that up tomorrow when I dress the rest of it, and off the sandblast this bit over here still. I might actually do a bit of blasting on some of this other area around here where it's a little bit surface rust, only around this back bit around here. Won't take long, maybe use a bit of soda or something and do a soda blast on it, just to make sure it's right. But this is nothing. I could probably rust convert all this shit, but this bit over here is a bit rough. I'm going to actually make sure I get all that pitting out, make sure it's good nick. It was good underneath, like I said, because of all the spot welds that were there, but out here I don't know what happened. Because this is an open section here, I can only assume that the edge of the cowl that come across in this corner just retained dirt and crap up here, and it stayed wet all the time and got a few little minor divots in it. Alright, that's it. Grinding done. Job complete. New patch in there. Couple of little low spots. They're not holes, they're just like a low spot I couldn't grind out there. But no holes, perfectly sealed off. A new spout in the bottom as well to drain it out. I'll get a coat of primer on that so it doesn't rust. And then when I sandblast all this, I'll just blast that coat of primer off of everything, and I'll get it sorted. I might actually just grind that up and weld that hole before I finish up, because if I move onto the other side, there's no more rust through the middle. So if I move onto the other side, which is up there, there's no rust in this part on the other side, just a bit messy up the top here. There's a bit of a hole in the top like this one had, so I'll weld that hole up now. Alright, that's it. I'll weld it up there. Patch welded in here. Patch welded in here. Patch welded in here. Patch welded in here. That's this side of the lower cowl finished. Like I mentioned, after I blast this, I'll give it a good coat of etch primer and epoxy, sorry, and then some black enamel over the top of it. But this side here really isn't anywhere near as bad. It doesn't have any rust down in here. It just has this bit and some corrosion here to deal with. But if I sandblast all this and sandblast all that, and it comes up all right, then all I got to do is replace this top section. There's no rust down here in this one, just in this top bit up here. So it'll be a much easier repair.